Well, I started having constant pain in my hands and my arms. I had been doing a lot of repetitive tasks at work and also at home, and it became to a point where I had pain all the time. I started going to several different doctors who offered me no answers, no proper diagnoses. They just wanted to do surgery, and I did not feel that that was the right thing to do, especially without a proper diagnosis. I also did several stints of different kinds of physical therapy, most of which just made me worse. And I had just about given up all hope. And then I found Superna's book. It's called It's Not Carpal Tunnel Syndrome, and it explains repetitive strain injury and how it's treated, and gave case studies. And I read the book twice, and I thought, this is me. So in a last-ditch effort, I made an effort to contact Superna, and I had an evaluation with her, and that got the ball rolling to me getting better. There were a lot of people that were skeptical. A lot of people didn't believe I was in pain because I wasn't sitting screaming in agony. I had gotten used to it. So, I might have looked maybe tired or a little depressed to people, but, really I had all this screaming pain throughout my body. And, I had a direct experience with one doctor who examined me, and he said, "Oh, I'm not getting any reaction from you. You're not having any pain symptoms." And it wasn't true, but just because I didn't say "ow" when he poked me there, didn't mean I wasn't in pain. I am leaps and bounds better than when I first started. When I first started, I was in such agony that it took everything that I had to just get out of bed and try to function during the day. And it's been a long road for me, but I'm more flexible. I'm able to do more things around the house than I could do at that time. I can do laundry without too much problem. I can load the dishwasher without breaking dishes. I can do some cleaning now, whereas before I couldn't have thought of tackling any of those things. I can walk much better. I have most of the motion in my neck back. It's just been leaps and bounds.
It was more than just pain. It was to the point where she could barely get out of bed. She really couldn't function. And it was actually to the point where it put her on short-term disability because the pain was that bad. And luckily, right at the end of that, we found Superna, and definitely such an improvement since.
The traditional doctors, at least at the time that I was trying to seek out help and get a proper diagnosis, basically, if it's not bone related, they don't know what the problem is because they don't acknowledge or maybe understand what's going on with the soft tissues. They don't look for that when they're looking. If your problem doesn't show up on an MRI or an X-ray or any of those kinds of traditional tests, they say, well, there's nothing wrong with you. We don't know what the problem is. Whereas the kinds of tests that Superna conducts are more based towards soft tissue and nerve issues, and she can do a very good diagnostic impression of what the issues are within a very short period of time.
I'll give all the credit to my wife. She started doing some internet research and found Superna's book, read through it. Sounded like, the book was, it's not carpal tunnel. And it seemed like it made a lot of sense. And Wendy said to me, she said, "Hey, I want to contact her. She's in Allentown." I'm like, "Go for it. We've tried everything else. We've got nothing to lose." And the thing that really struck me was on our first visit, during the evaluation, within 5 minutes, Superna had pinpointed what she thought was Wendy's problem and a treatment regimen to try. And it was really interesting. She said, your problem isn't all in your wrists. She took a very holistic approach, and she said the problem is up here in the neck and shoulders, and it's pulling on the nerves in the wrist, and that's why you have it's pulling down here and you have the pain. And it was just amazing. Within, it's been a long therapy regimen, but Wendy started to see some relief from the pain, and it's just been getting better and better ever since.
Here it's different because Superna Damani uses a unique approach to her physical therapy and holistic practice. When she does an evaluation of a person, she does a very comprehensive and thorough evaluation and doesn't just focus on one body part or the initial complaint. What's really different here is she has the knowledge, because she is an expert in RSI and chronic pain issues, internationally known, that she treats the body as a whole. Like, for example, you might complain about you have pain in your hand or your arm, but your neck is really the cause. And that was one of the things that was a problem for me, is nobody even thought to look at my neck. And my neck was one of the main causes of all the issues I was having.
First advice is be supportive. In a lot of cases, the people who have chronic pain, because it is chronic, they have learned how to live with it. It doesn't mean that the pain isn't there. It's just they've learned how to live and tolerate it. But it does affect their mood, their enjoyment of things. So be supportive, do what you can. And in a lot of cases, chronic pain, because it is chronic, it's taken a while to get to the point where it is so bad somebody can't stand it anymore, that it's going to take a while to get back. So once the treatment regimen is found, be supportive of that as well.
A lot of people work and casual acquaintances who were skeptical about the amount of trauma I was going through, because I didn't outwardly show it. I wasn't screaming and wreathing in pain. I just was. I was existing. I wasn't moving a lot, but I was, existing and not complaining.
It was very, very difficult. I'm hopeful it's gotten better since, but she went through several orthopedic doctors who specialized in hand therapy, several bouts of, and they recommended physical therapy. But the problem was the physical therapy they recommended was, as she had mentioned, either work hardening or strengthening. And she wasn't even at the point where her body was capable of strengthening. Any strengthening just made it worse. So it was very, very frustrating, both for her and for me as a husband. What can you do? And your partner isn't capable of helping out with much of anything. Even something that you consider as simple as loading the dishwasher, she couldn't do because she didn't have the hand strength to hold on to the plates.
I was, I'd say, almost elated. I mean, there was a glimmer of hope that somebody actually understood what I was going through and would be able to help me get better. Because by the time I got to Superna, I was at the end of my rope, and I was ready to end it all, because I couldn't stand it anymore. And I found Superna, and we started me on the road to recovery, and I will be forever grateful to Superna for her help, because she saved my life.
Huge effect, absolutely huge effect. It's been, her mood has continually improved. It's taken, as a husband, it's going to sound selfish, but it's taken a large burden off of me because now I have my partner or my teammate back. It's made it easier for us to take trips together, do things together. It's made it easier to split the duties around the house. So I mean, it's cut my workload, considerably, and given us time to do fun things now.
You got to believe in Superna Damani and her techniques. I went through multiple doctors. I jumped through other hoops through my employer, doing things like acupuncture. I tried acupuncture. It didn't work for me. They wanted me to do work hardening, which in my case would have totally destroyed my body. You have to educate yourself on what your problems are, because the doctors, the traditional medical doctors, they're going to focus on one body part. They're not going to look at the body as a whole. And you're probably going to hear answers that are incorrect, and you're not going to want to accept them. Whereas Superna understands the body as a whole, and she understands how all the soft tissue and nerves are connected, and how one thing affects another, and she will treat you as a whole person and not just one particular body part that you think is bothering you. The treatment plan that you get here is individualized to your specific injuries and your case. It's not a canned protocol like you might get from a traditional physical therapy place where, for example, if you have, if you're going for knee therapy and they tell you to do, so many leg lifts a day, it's not like that. In my case, I needed to have manual tissue therapy, which is very specific, myofascial release, and getting the tissues to re-heal properly. And then it's a matter of strengthening and stretching specific ways to help you regain your health back and get stronger so that you can do everyday tasks without pain. Also another point with the treatment here is one-on-one. You're not thrown into a room with a bunch of other patients where you have one therapist working on 3 people at the same time. It is very individualized and very focused on your treatment. And like I said, it's not a canned protocol. It's devised specifically for you because everybody's problem is different.
I can't recommend the Damani Center highly enough. They really care about the patients. I like the fact that they want to make sure that not only that the patients know what's going on, but that the others involved in care with the patients, say the spouse or significant other, is very much involved in it and knows what's going on, and so that they also know how to help, what they can do to help. And to be honest, the advice that I've learned and listened to at the Damani Center, I've had friends who have been on the start to this path of repetitive stress injury, and I've been able to tell them, hey, wait a minute, you're not working properly. And it's really just a lot of it's simple advice that the Damani Center is trying to get out there and just trying to help people.
The therapists that work with the Damani Center are very personable. I know that Superna, when she interviews therapists to work with her in her practice, she makes sure she gets the right fit for the kind of work they're going to do. People need to be compassionate, and they are very compassionate here. They care. Superna really cares about her patients, and she is more into wanting to help people get better as opposed to just making money. She's sincerely interested in the human being and having people be healthy and happy.